Hi, guys. Welcome to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. This is Vevna Forrow. Yeah, let's get started. All right, guys. So previously on the past podcast episode, I was discussing submission manager systems, what to use to intake poetry submissions, art submissions, photography, all of that. Yeah. And we are currently at Dipty moving off of Submittable over to Subfolio. So this is going to be interesting. I mean, it has a lot of the same features, I feel like. There are some things that aren't identical or the same, and perhaps I'll do another episode again. But I think just some things in terms of alerts and notifications and an other section for templates you have, besides acceptance and decline templates. There's no other section thus far, and some of the reminders that we get on categories and so there are some other things, but for the most part it's the same, and our bill is not going to increase by moving over to Subfolio or anything like that. So that's great, and we have more room for having a lot more calls open each month rather than be restricted. We can add a lot more readers to our team, others, and we won't have to worry about hitting a certain number every month or things like that. So that's cool. They do have a lower plan again with Subfolio, and you can read more about that on the website. Listen back to that episode I did. But yeah, I won't cover all of the things thus far with it. Maybe, again, I'll do another episode on how things are going, with Subfolio, and circle back to you guys on that. So for this episode, I want to talk a little bit about CLMP. And I mentioned this on a couple of the episodes, the CLMP membership. We have that membership. A lot of lit mags and journals have that membership. Now, for those of you unaware, CLMP stands for the Community of Literary Magazines and Presses. And I'm just going to read and quote off of their website because I tend to forget details and things from time to time. And so I will do that. So they essentially, they help a lot of publishers, magazines, those who facilitate online publications, chapbooks, zines, all of that. They work with publishers and help organize, events and provide support to them. It's hard, for small literary publishers and essentially publishers of all sizes, even, I'd say, to have, go solo, I'd say, without having a network or community of some sort, to do knowledge exchanges or to, ask someone else, right? And I think CLMP really is beneficial in terms of that. I mentioned this on another episode. You can pick others' brains, fellow editors, fellow, team members of presses and lit mags, predominantly the editorial team and the founding, editors on what's happening on their side and problems they're running into or issues and things of that nature. So CLMP really emphasizes diversity, and I think it's cool that they have this monthly mailing list that they send out, and it consists of new lit mags or journals or presses that were created or ones to check out, and also distribution systems, some new services, or even it could be apps even, or something that the community should check out. One of them was Protagonist Lit. That was a really cool app. I don't know if they're going to be sticking around, unfortunately, but we'll see. There are several other things that I've learned through CLMP, distribution system-wise, again, and facilitating things. Bookmobile was something I came across through them, and I'm going to learn more about that and see if it's an option for us, and I mentioned that before. But it's a great place to, find out more about the community and the lit mag and journal space. I feel like I pay very close attention to the communications and essentially you could call it a group chats almost. I mean, we don't have a designated Discord or chat room thus far as of 2025, but a lot of things predominantly through CLMP or email communication, leveraging that, and that's fine. I typically, most of us, we all check our emails. So I think it'd be cool maybe one day to get like a Discord channel or some sort of a chat room app or something like that in the future with them. So who knows? They do hold monthly meetup sessions and things like that. One of them's the editors of Color Meetup. They also have events where you can meet with like founders of like Subfolio, or learn more about a new submission management system, or maybe it's something that others, let's say ebook distribution, there was something that came up. I'll cover that maybe another episode about, digitization platforms and readers and things like that. But yeah, it's a very cool and community. So CLMP, if we go back a little bit further, I'm just going to quote, this is what I wanted to quote off their website. So I didn't know this up to prior. I may have read this before, but I'm refreshing my memory. So I'm quoting this off their site, clmp.org. So originally founded as the Coordinating Council of Literary Magazines in 1967, on April 1st, 2015, CLMP, since becoming known as the Council of Literary Magazines and Presses, rebranded as the Community of Literary Magazines and Presses to better reflect how they serve and their mission overall. And so CLMP's membership has like over 1,000 organizations, and there are some with budgets less than $5,000, and yeah. So they really do provide assistance and support, and a lot of consultation and help for when it's needed. Absolutely. I feel like it can be really hard, if you're starting a lit mag journal and you're sort of in the dark of what's going on in the community space, and this is like a gateway into that a little bit, staying in the loop on things and keeping connected with other editors in the community. Now, you don't have to attend the meetings, all of the meetings or anything like that. I haven't personally been able to attend the meetup sessions and the calls and some of the cool, even in-person table events. There are some really cool ones where you can you have to, of course, there's a cost, right, for setting up a table, but you set up a table and you can have on display your issues and things like that. CLMP once had some events, in the year where you can send in your issues to them or samples of chapbooks and things like that for them to share or give away, at some of the events. There's also I think the AWP writers, one of the writers conferences. I haven't been able to go at all, but, because of physical challenges and some back-to-back life events, I missed out on quite a few of the fun meetups and stuff. But who knows, maybe one day I will, hop into one. But yeah, they have things like that. So you can really get to know others in the community. And, even I've seen through Dippity, I've seen fellow editors and other Lit Magazine journals submit to us, and things like that. And I didn't see that till the very end, of course, because we do concealed reads. So that's cool, that they came across Dippity and things like that. So, a lot of editors, I'd say, and founding editors are very open and honest to share what they're going through. And CLMP has been around a very long time, and I think that's really neat. I think AWP has also been around since the 1960s as well, that writing conference. So, yeah, I highly recommend you check out the CLMP membership. They have on their site a list of, what they offer through the membership. So for us, it costs like $150, I think, every year. And I'd say it's worth it. There were times like we had a bug in Submittable and I wasn't aware it was impacting others till I came across, a threat, a chain response that other editors were running into that, who were part of the CLMP membership. And, so it was like basically sending a rejection email back to the, after a decline was sent, it was sending it like 4 times to some, not everyone, just some. It was a very odd bug. And I was like, oh, geez, what's causing this? And, we of course got some upset messages about that, but it wasn't our fault. Like, it was an issue with Submittable, and like others were running into it. So it was good to know that, and I wouldn't have really known that unless I was like, part of CLMP. Of course, I could, send a ticket to Submittable. That's what we typically all do. But, it's good to know others were running into that. There's also been times there's been, plagiarist alerts accounts, like some just mass and I'll do another episode on plagiarism and stuff, but there's been like some cases of like some frequent repetitive plagiarist accounts and others just like spamming even lit mags and journals or sending in work that's not their own. So oftentimes we're alerted on certain addresses or names to look out for, to not accept work from, because they've plagiarized constantly for, to lit mags and journals, like frequently. And yeah, that's just horrendous, obviously. So that's good to stay in the know on like some names. Even if you go on social media, and I'll share this later, but yeah, you come across cases like that where there's like, this person just like plagiarized and we had to like pull them out of the issue offline and stuff. So that causes a lot of work for lit mags and journals. So it's good to stay on top of that, plagiarist accounts. Even Lit Mag News does a really good job of sharing things like that. And, yeah. So I think the CLMP mailing list, the ones they have facilitated are really beneficial. Again, I just hope one day they get a chat room or something cool like that too. They have a great, site. Their site has a directory. If you're part of the membership, you get on that to qualify for the CLMP membership, right? So originally, when I started Dipty, right, I'd converted my personal pen name site into the LitMag site, but that's a big no-no, right? I didn't know that at the time. So in order to qualify for the membership, I tugged out, all my stuff off the site, of course, because it's not about me, right? I don't want to make it anything about me or have any remnants of my stuff on there. So I tugged it all out. And now our site has a different look and everything, went through, I think, another round of design and changes for me, but I did the best to customize it and make it look as clean and organized as possible. But so just make sure like if you're going to apply for the CLMP membership, I see some lit mags and journals, others have converted a website that's under a name or something, so you want to make sure you have your own domain name. And for, your lit mag or journal, it shouldn't have like someone's personal name or something. There are, of course, lit mags and journals named after people. That's totally okay. But it shouldn't be like your own name, right? It shouldn't be like, your name or your personal work shouldn't be anywhere on the site. And they do have like a requirement where a majority, like over, I think it's like 50% or more of the work published through the lit mag or journal isn't just staff members, right? It has to be others submitting to it. And they have other requirements on their site, about, fees and things like that. And, so you can read the requirements a bit further on their table and the benefits, but I won't cover all of it. They do have this neat program where like teachers and classrooms can choose lit mags and journals or reach out to them to include in their like learning course or to learn more about lit mags and journals, like a classroom type course or something. And I think that's cool. So there's a lot of other events and things that they facilitate throughout the year. Their mailing lists are really helpful. I like receiving those and staying in a loop on things and learning about new services, platforms, to check out, that may be beneficial. If you're not sure where to start, subscription systems and stuff like that. We don't really have a definitive subscription system at Dipty, by the way, besides like over our digital issues, and that might change since our relaunch and stuff. But you can find out about things through that, like about that CLMP, if you're running into a roadblock or you have a question or you're looking for printers or some help there. They have like resources for lit mags and journals to, do so. Also, there's various awards that they hold, The Firecracker Awards is the one, I've entered it once, but there's a fee. There's it was like $60, I think. I don't know if that's changed, but Yeah, I couldn't enter it this year because literally I didn't have $60 in my my account. I didn't have $60. So I was like, I have to skip it this year. But it's still really cool. I think it says on their site or something, if I recall, like each winner in the book categories gets like $2,000 or $1,000 for the press and $1,000 for the author or translator. And then each winner in the magazine categories get $1,000. And yeah, so it's a cool, you can look at like past Firecracker Award finalists on their site and stuff. So, yeah, and I also learn about like other events and awards and nomination events through CLMP. So I think that's neat, to have that every year, and you get to see and come into contact with a lot of the amazing and very cool lit mags and journals, So, yeah, maybe I'll enter it again in the future, but I haven't been able to enter it every year. So for the most part, I will absolutely keep trying to keep up with our, membership and, do that every year because I think it's worth it. You don't feel, again, so alone in the space, as an editor, with the membership. And, yeah, so they have, I think it's $65. And then, like, additional entries, I think it was like 45 or 35 for CLMP members for that Firecracker Awards. There are other guidelines on like entering it and like for magazines and stuff. So yeah, so you can read more about that. They also, I mentioned this on a past episode, have a job listing, directory for volunteer staff, also paid openings. So if you're looking for more work opportunities in the lit mag or journal space, they do a good job of posting those. And, sometimes in the past when we started, I was like, hey, can you help us post these openings? We're looking for more volunteers. And they totally did. And they were so helpful about that. And yeah, we didn't do that every single time. Sometimes we just opened a quick submittable bucket or, a call there, or even some reached out to us and we got volunteers that way. But yeah, still very helpful, to help post openings, and a lot of traffic goes through those, through those mailing lists and the job posting board, and so yeah, and I meant not mailing list, I meant the job posting page. But yeah, their mailing list, it's beneficial for all of us, I really love the organization they have. And the teacher program I think I mentioned was the Lit Mag. I think it's the Lit Mag. Yeah, the Lit Mag adoption program. So yeah, so teachers like can introduce lit mags into their classroom and choose them. It's not something you can apply for or something like that. That's what I initially thought, but it wasn't like that. But that's still very cool. And then they have the Constellation Award and some other awards listed. The Constellation Award's like $10,000, and it's given to an independent literary press that is led by, or it champions the writing of people of color, and for excellence in publishing. So, yeah, I haven't entered that one before, but or anything like that, but. Yeah, there are other, other things throughout the year that have funding for lit mags and journals. And, so I would say, a lot of the other, not other events, like funding-wise, and this isn't through the CLMP membership, but just funding in general, like some of the grant programs and stuff in existence are more directed towards nonprofits. So you really have to think about if you want to become a nonprofit or not. They even have, I think CLMP has like they had a guide or some sort of resource for others to look at or to listen to. I can't remember if it was audio, video based, or a guide. But they have something for others to take in consideration about becoming a nonprofit or what it entails. And you can even reach out to other lit magazines and journals. They're nonprofits too. I think there was a question someone had about that, like what does it entail? What's it like? Sometimes I've seen, that happen. And yeah, so yeah, there are, grant opportunities. This year was really hard for a lot of lit magazines and journals because funding got cut. We, of course, we don't receive yearly grants or funding personally, or anything like that. I personally, again, self-fund things from time to time to, keep things going. But, It's a lot of lit magazine journals are on shoestring budgets though, so grants really help. Donations really help. CLMP also takes donations throughout the year, and yeah, so there are a lot of things to consider. When you're starting a lit magazine journal. I mentioned our membership was $150, but that won't be necessarily true for everyone, because I think on their site it shows a table, like it depends on what your budget is, annual budget is. It's based off of that, like your membership fee. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it says on their site. And then they also have I think something called an associate membership, which is a bit lower for lit manga journal just starting off, so it's not like several $100s a year or anything like that. I think it was was it $50? I could be wrong, but yeah, you can check it on their site. And this is as of 2025, of May. So definitely go out to their site, clmp.org. Some parts of their site are, member-only access. You'll come across that from time to time, but you can read more about a lot of the stuff they do. It's very cool. And the events, and stay in the loop on stuff, awards, when you join their membership. And I think that's nice, yeah. Their staff has always been very responsive and communicative and helpful. So, yeah. And it's cool to be added in the directory of publishers, right? So then others can find you and come across you that way. Highly recommend, again, you get, listed in directories. I mentioned this on one of the episodes, earlier on. And, getting into directories. CLMP is one of the directories I recommend. And, yeah, if you join the membership, they screen whether you meet the requirements and things like that, and of course you can make adjustments so that you do meet the requirements. And yeah, so there's book and literary magazine fairs. I haven't gone to any of them myself, but they look like they're a lot of fun, guys. Definitely, I think the in-person table events, they really give you exposure. There's one, I was just looking on their site, there's one every month. This is public, this the book and literary magazine fairs list on their site. There's one for January, Sunshine State Book Festival in Florida, Jersey Art Book Fair. I'm not going to name them all, I'm just listing off some. The London Book Fair in England, the Tucson Festival of Books, Massachusetts Teen Spoken Word Festival, a lot of cool events. So you can really keep in the loop on all of that. Let's see if they have any for, I don't know if Nevada's on here. Let's see. Arizona, California. I don't know, guys. I think, yeah, Nevada has some events too. I haven't attended any in-person ones to date, but yeah, the Twin Cities Book Festival in Minneapolis. Yeah, I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but yeah, that's cool. And yeah, so there's a long list. And yeah, so Texas, Portland, and Scotland, they have the Push the Boat Out Poetry Festival, November. So yeah, they have a lot of events listed, and they do a good job of posting all of those dates. I linked some of the ones showing up in 2024, so too, but just now. So yeah, anyways, dig around on their website, think about it, so I'd highly recommend you get the CLMP membership if you're sort of unsure of you have a lot of questions, or you're not sure how to get started essentially on something. It's a good way to learn more in the space, and to maybe get help, or if you need it. I personally did a lot of research and stuff on my own when I started, and it wasn't until a bit later on till I joined CLMP, but it's been a great experience. I think had we not done the learning about Protagonist Lit app, right, our collages probably wouldn't have looked that way or moved. We were originally on video, and then I changed the collages to fit the Protagonist Lit app, and actually like that style we have on our site now. Anyway, we also had to move away from video because of the storage cost changes, and over time that gets costly. So now I compress files and do all of that, and all of that, compress the photos and anything on our site that's a static image or a digital collage that I do. So yeah, anyways, you learn about a lot of cool things and apps and things that are perhaps changing or services that are discontinued. I mentioned funding earlier. I just remembered. So I mentioned that it was a tough year for lit magazine journals. I was specifying the NEA, I think the program that, like, I think I heard some lit magazine journals, places that had, that grant funding they were, looking forward to. It was like $15,000, $20,000. It was slashed. Yeah. So very tough year for lit magazine journals. Some of the ones that received grants and funding or looking forward to that. So a lot of us really depend upon donations throughout the year. At Dippity, we're not a nonprofit, so we don't have that regular stream of funding. We get donations from time to time, and I cover, things from time to time the best I can. So it's tough. It's tough for everyone in the lit mag and journal space. There are closures every single year, tons of them, and it's heartbreaking. But I think CLMP does a good job of providing support for lit mags and journals. They're always there. You can reach out to them and say, hey, we're running into this, and they'll usually, say, perhaps someone in the group, in the CLMP group has run into this before, or someone in the community, and, they'll share their knowledge, and they're very open to do so. I think that's really great. It's not like, knowledge is gatekept or anything like that. I think that's cool that everyone's so willing and open. I've seen others swap example contracts, things like that, formats of how they format things and wording even. And so really great, the CLMP membership. I could go on about other things, that they have in their table of, the benefits of joining. They have a news section, and they have some cool mailing list again. Besides that, you can share whenever an issue release comes out, a new publication in their monthly lineup. And I miss them. I haven't been able to hit every single one, but from time to time I do try to share some publications fitting what they're looking for, whether it be, they have one, I think, coming up for, the June Pride Month and LGBTQ writers, and so they've done it for, Black History Month and other ones I tried to partake in and share a list of publications. So it can be a way for you to get more eyes on publications and things like that, for sure. They share it in their channels, on social media. They do a really good job of staying on top of all of that. So and every membership has usually a fee, so it's expected. But I'm going to try my best to meet that membership and pay it every year. And continue to do it. Of course, if things ever change financially, I totally will do the best I can now. So I hope this episode helped you. And check out clmp.org. They have a lot more on their site I didn't cover. And again, a great place to start if you're looking for, opportunities in the lit mag space, or if you're going to start your lit mag journal. It's a great membership to sort of, dive into, discover more, in the space in terms of resources, channels for distribution, alternative platforms, and it's great. So that's all. And next episode, I'm not sure what I'll cover, but I'll think of something. And someone sent a message out on, I put these out on as many places as possible, these episodes. So someone sent a comment saying that one of my episodes helped them. So that's great. I think it was the reader episode. So cool. So I hope this one helped you. This predominantly is for others looking maybe to see if the membership's worth it, for CLMP. I'd say it is. I've learned things, by following the channels very closely where others communicate, via email, and I read those threads, and you get to stay in the loop on things impacting other lit mags and journals in the community. And it's a great way to support one another. I've seen others share Substacks and recommend each other. So everyone's very nice and helpful. So So that's all I got to say. So check it out and take care. And my PS note for you guys here, because I literally need to get more water in between. So that's why I was some pauses maybe you guys heard. But anyways, the good thing, the really great thing about CLMP is discounts, right? So there's been times I've been interested in a service or a certain platform, for distribution, just investigating, and they're like, if you go forward with us, you actually get a discount because you're part of the CLMP membership. I mean, it's not 50% off or anything like that on some of them, but 15%, 20%, that still helps, it shaves down costs. I think there's some events even you get discounts for. I could be wrong, but yeah, there's discount opportunities out there, for being part of the CLMP membership. Aside from Submittable, right? Without the CLMP membership, Submittable is like way out of everyone's ballpark. So that's really beneficial. If you really want to go with Submittable, joining the CLMP membership, that's how you get the discounted rate, I covered that on the past podcast episode a little bit, what, Dipti was seeing cost-wise. And we're moving to Subfolio again, and we're not going to see cost changes there. But still, a lot of lit mags and journals who use Submittable are on that CLMP membership discounted plan. So, yeah, so just some things to take in consideration. Of course, you can always, reach out to CLMP and they can answer your questions and, cover any, remaining concerns you have, or, maybe you're running into something and you could ask them like, hey, do you guys have any ideas on this, when you join the membership or something, I don't know much about the associate membership, $50. I can't remember if we started with an associate membership or then pivoted to the full membership. I think I started with the full membership. I could be wrong, but anyways, it was a long time ago, a couple years back. But so definitely recommend you check it out. Dive into their site as much as possible. There are parts of the site that are member access only, for members only. So you'll run into that from time to time, but still, quite a bit of their page is public, to explore and to dig around, and you could come across a lot of cool things, to learn about, even if you don't end up joining the membership, it's still a cool site to check out once in a while and to take a peek at, some of the events and the job postings and some of the award events that they run. Even check out their social media page, follow them on social media. You can learn a lot just by, sometimes following a social media account, what's up, what's happening, in the space a little bit, how's everyone doing, what's going on, support other lit mags and journals or come across some new ones by following CLMP too. So, that's all I wanted to tack on here, yeah. So take care again, yeah.